pod. I pray you can hear me. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I should let me do something. Okay, hopefully you can hear me now. I had it on a Bluetooth headphones, but they really don't have a mouthpiece. So anyway, this is Pamela, and you're listening to Watchman on the Pod. All right, we're going to continue in Codeword Barbelon 666, Danger in the Vatican, Book 1, The Sons of Loloya and Their Plan for World Domination by P.D. Stuart. We are in chapter 45. Vicarious Filii Dia, 666. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation 13, verse 18. It was a method of practice among the ancients, writes Matthew Henry, to denote names by numbers. And Adam Clark confirms that. Representing numbers by letters of the alphabet gave rise to a practice among the ancients of representing names also by numbers. Clark adds, examples of this kind abound in the writings of heathen, Jews, and Christians. Thus, it seems logical that when Revelation 13:18 says of the number of the beast and his number, it is a number of a man, and his number is 666, we should look for a name which contains or is represented by that number. The Pope's title, Cutis ut Deus, who is like God. In the bull Unum Sanctum, promulgated by Pope Boniface VIII on November 18, 1302, we find the following: Christi Vicarius Petric Successor, meaning Vicar of Christ, the successor of Peter. And in his book, Crossing the Threshold of Hope, Pope John Paul II confirmed that the popes still make this claim. In the first chapter, titled The Pope, a Scandal and Mystery, page 3, John Paul II writes, the Pope is considered the man on earth who takes the place of the second person of the omnipotent God of the Trinity. Takes the place of Jesus? We need not say anything about this audacious claim of the Pope. For as Calvin once said, there is no need to take much trouble in refuting things which, by their extreme absurdity, plainly refute themselves. Nor need we say anything of the still greater absurdities that are babbled by the canists to justify this claim. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I think it went away. One word will do. Preposterous. Oh, excuse me. One word will do. Preposterous. On page 3 of his book, John Paul II also says the Pope represents the Son of God on earth. This phrase is taken directly from the Latin Vicarious Filii Dia, an appellation that for centuries has been used as a title of the Pope. The use of this expression by John Paul II in his book is significant because in November 1914, someone wrote to the editor of the Office Journal of the Catholic Church in America, Our Sunday Visitor, with a serious question. The question was this: is it true that the words of the Apocalypse, i.e. the book of Revelation, in the 13th chapter, 18th verse, refers to the Pope? The words referred to are these: here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The inquirer explained what he meant by stating, the title of the Pope in Rome is Vicarious Filii Dei. This is inscribed on his mitre, and if you take the letters of his title, which represents Latin numerals, add them together, they come to 666. In other words, the inquirer was asking the editor whether 666 had anything to do with the Pope's Latin title. You will recall that Matthew Henry and Adam Clark revealed that it was a method of practice among the ancients to denote names by numbers, and that representing numbers by letters of the alphabet gave rise to a practice among the ancients of representing names also by numbers. Leaving aside for now the issue of 666, did the Pope's mitre ever bear the inscription Vicarius Filii Dei? 6 months after the inquiry about the Pope's title in the November 15th, 1914 issue of Our Sunday Visitor, another question was put to the editor, this time in the April 18th, 1915 issue of Our Sunday Visitor. What are the letters supposed to be in the Pope's crown, and what do they signify, if anything? The editor, Reverend John F. Knoll, answered the inquirer's question as follows, which answer I quote verbatim. The letters inscribed in the Pope's mitre are these: Vicarius Filii Dei, which in the Latin for Vicar of the Son of God. Catholics hold that the Church, which is a visible society, must have a visible head. As head of the Church was given the title Vicar of Christ. Note that the editor was asked about the Pope's crown, but chose to give an answer about the Pope's mitre. This distinction is significant, as we shall discover. Nonetheless, he admitted to the Vicarius Filii Dei. What does Vicarius Filii Dei have to do with 666? As we saw above, in 1915, the Catholic Church admitted that Vicarius Filii Dei was inscribed in the Pope's mitre, and prior to that, in the November 15th, 1914 issue of Our Sunday Visitor, page 3, someone wrote in to the editor asking whether 666 had anything to do with the Pope's Latin title, Vicarius Filii Dei. The inquirer quoted Revelation 13:18, which says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666." In other words, the inquirer was suggesting that the Pope's title, Vicarius Filii Dei, added to 666. You will recall that Matthew Henry and Adam Clarke said it was a method of practice among the ancients to denote names by numbers, and representing numbers by letters of the alphabet gave rise to a practice of representing names also by numbers. The Hebrew, Chaldean, Latin, Greek, and Arab languages have numerical value for some of the letters of their alphabet. Take, for instance, the original Roman letters, I, V, X, L, C, D. The letter M was added later, and thus was not part of the original system. Added together, we get I is a 1, V is a 5, X is a 10, L is a 50, C is 100, D is 500, and that equals 666. Many of the ancient names or appellations used for the sun god in the various pagan religions also add to 666. Roy A. Anderson writes, amulets called Sigilla Solis, or the sun seal, were worn by the pagan priests, and they contained all the numbers from 1 to 36. The veneration of the ancients had for the sun god. In a figure in the Berlin Museum, there are 36 squares arranged with the numerals 1 to 36 in such a way that adding the numbers of any column either horizontally or vertically, and also the two diagonals crossing the square, the total is the same, 111. The sum of the 6 columns computed either horizontally or vertically is 6 times 111, or 666. Likewise, all the avatars or incarnations of the sun god are called Buddhas or races of the sun, Sion. The Greek word for Buddha is Xiuv, or capital Xiun, wisdom of the sun, and adds to 666. In ancient times, the cycle bird of fire, or phoenix, was worshipped as the bright and morning star. The old spelling of phoenix, shining one, is Phenex or Phenex in Greek. It is interesting to note that Lucifer is also called the son of the morning, or shining one. Isaiah 14:12. When we add the numerical value of FENEX in Greek, we get F is a 6, E is a 5, N is a 50, E is a 5, X is a 600, equals 666. The New Testament was written in Greek. The ancient Greek name for the sun was Titan, which is Teitan. Add its Greek numerical values, and we get T for 300, E for 5, I for 10, T for 300, A is a 1, N is a 50, and it equals 666. Titan in Greek was in fact the Chaldean Barbelonian for Shaitan, the name by which Satan, i.e. Lucifer, was called. The legendary Greek poet Homer says all the gods of Tartarus, or hell, were called Titans. Titans, and that is Teitans. I believe it's Titans. I'm not sure, but I think it is. And in the doctrine of the mysteries brought from Pergamus to Rome, the sun was said to be the one only true God, Titan or Satan. Let's see. However, Satan, Titan or Shaitan, is not a man. And Revelation 13:18 says that 666 is the number of a man. So we must look to a man. Now this is the riddle. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For is the number of a man numerous, hominous, and his number is 666. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Here's the same verse in the Greek, which, I can't read Greek. So this is the most fascinating riddle in all of the Bible. The preceding verses 16 through 18, reveal no one may buy or sell except he who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Revelation chapter 13, 16 through 17. In other words, the mark of the beast is found in the number of his name, the number of the beast, 666. So we know two things. One, that 666 is the number of a man, and two, we need wisdom to count that number. The need for wisdom indicates that the passage constitutes a kind of a riddle or code requiring some kind of special knowledge to comprehend. This is a very fascinating riddle, a Holy Ghost riddle, and God wants us to solve it. The riddle applies to popery. Here is wisdom. It was a practice or custom in ancient times to add together the numbers indicated by the letters of a man's name, and the sum total thus produced was called the number of the man. If we turn to the Pope's personal title or name in Latin, Vicarius Filii Dei, Roman alphabet, we have the master key to the mystery of popery in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. So in Fleming's Rise and Fall of Rome, Papal, it is asserted that the title Vicarius Filii Dei was not only assumed by the Roman pontiff, but was also once inscribed over the door of the Vatican. Not only is Latin the official language of the Catholic Church, it is perhaps just a little curious, too, that it was in the year 666 that Pope Vitalian, Vitalian, decreed that all public worship should be in Latin. It is even more mind-blowing that the names or titles that apply to Pope's dominion adds to 666 in 3 different languages, as shown next. So here we have, and I believe that's the picture that I posted as the thumbnail. You can look at that. I think you're able to. This is the calculation of the above in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Let me see if I could probably show you guys this. Can you see that? Oh, let's see. I don't want to accidentally hit this off. So hold on. Let's see if we can do this. Here we go. Can you see that? I think you can see that. It says, this is the calculation of the above in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. His kingdom, Roman, written in Hebrew. Well, you know, I can't read Hebrew. So his race, Latin, written in Greek and Latinos. And then his name, Vicar of the Son of God, written in Latin. And there you go. Well, that is very interesting. Huh. All three of them. Well, that is quite interesting. Did not even know that. So anyway, I hope you could see that. Here we go. Let's go back. And that is not all. Not only does the official title and place of Pope's dominion add to 666, but even his chosen descriptive name, Roman or Latinos, adds to 666. Have you ever wondered why the Catholic Church has chosen to be called the Roman Catholic Church as opposed to Holy Catholic Church? Was Jesus a Roman? Were any of his disciples or apostles Roman? Was Peter, from whom the Pope claims to have his podum, or a Roman? So why is the Pope's church called Roman or Latinos? Reader, the answer is simple. The word Roman, Latinos, is the key by which we solve the most well-known but least understood Bible riddle. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18 uses the ancient custom or wisdom of counting the alphanumerical letters in names to finger the man and the system that will bear the mark of the beast, 666, the Pope's signature. I will not quote you several titles or names that apply to the Pope and his kingdom, the papacy, the Holy See, each of which adds to 666. The word Pope in Hebrew means a Roman and adds up in Hebrew to 666. In Greek, it means the Latin king and adds to 666. Equally, Latinus deceptor, Latin deceiver, adds to 666. Latino sacerdos, Latin priest, adds to 666. Latinos Rex Deceptor, the royal Latin deceiver, adds to 666. Latinus Rex Deceptor Papa, the royal Latin deceiver, the Pope, also adds to 666. Latinus Rex Doctor Papa, the royal Latin doctor, the Pope, makes 666. And finally, Latinus Rex Sacerdos Papa, the royal Latin priest, the Pope, makes 666. There. As Tresham Gregg said to the Catholic priest Maguire, what do you make of that? As they say, these truths are self-evident. You can verify all of the above Latin names and their numerical values in any good Latin text. These facts nullify any possible answer or objection that the Pope's supporters and my Jesuit opponents could ever muster. I must conclude this part of the analysis. My time is nearly exhausted. The following orthography is conclusive. All other Jesuit interpretations are spurious. I submit these facts for your careful attention. That is just insane. Heated denials by the Catholic Church. You will recall that in April 18th, 1915, issue of Our Sunday Visitor, the editor said, the letters inscribed on the Pope's mitre are these, Vicarius Filii Dei, which is Latin for Vicar of the Son of God. However, quite surprisingly, sometime later, almost 2 years after the April 18th, 1915 admission that Vicarius Filii Dei was inscribed inside the Pope's mitre, the Catholic Church sought to deny that this title applied to the Pope. That implied denial appeared in our Sunday Visitor, September 16th, 1917. A facsimile of the original 1915 statement from Our Sunday Visitor admitting Vicarius Filii Dei was inscribed in the mitre can be found in the appendix to this book. And that says page 527 to 529. Let's see if I can find it, guys. 527 to 529 and show you real quick. It's always good to cardinal. Let's see. I can't see the page number. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on. 525, 526. So what did they say? 527 to 529. All right, so here's one. I'm going to show you this right here. Hopefully you can see it real well. Right there. Okay, and then right here. Oh, hold on. And that right here is the facsimile of the letter. Oops, hold on. Shoot. It's not easy to do this up on myself. Here we go. I guess you could always pause it, and read that if you wish. And then right here, our Sunday visitor, April 18th. So I think you will be able to read it. Just pause it, and there you go. You'll be able to read that just fine. Okay, so here we go. I say it was an implied denial because it was made in response to the following question put to the paper's editor. What application has the number 666 to the Pope? The editor replied, none whatever. It is the effervescence of vacuous minds. Such interpreters have never shown that the title Vicarious Filii is really inscribed upon the Pope's tiara. That was a bizarre statement because, as we saw, the Catholic Church had already admitted in writing in 1915 that the title Vicarious Filii was found inside the Pope's mitre, spelled mitre, from the Greek, and I can't do that, headband or turban. The first observation to be made about the denial of September 1917 is that it has all the characteristics of the phantasmagoria. It is a diversionary tactic. For the editor's admission in the April 18th, 1915 issue of Our Sunday Visitor referred to the title Vicarious Filii as being in the Pope's mitre, whereas the later denial in 1917 only refers to the Pope's tiara. In other words, the statement in 1917 denied the Vicarious Filii was on the Pope's tiara, but made no attempt to deny or retract the 1915 admission regarding the mitre. Thus, even if we grant that Vicarious Filii was never found inside of the Pope's tiara, as asserted by the Catholic Church, the 1917 denial is a non sequitur, as it has no bearing on whether or not the title Vicarious Filii is or was once inscribed in the mitre, as was admitted in the April 18th, 1915 issue of Our Sunday Visitor. This is significant because the tiara and the mitre, or mitre, was completely different headpieces. As they say in the vernacular, they are like chalk and cheese. And then right here is pictures of the Triple Crown, and then or the tiara, as they call it, the tiara. And then down here is the mitre, I believe. I believe that's the mitre. Maybe that's the crown too. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, no, that's tiara. And then that's the coronation, the crown. Oh, interesting. Looks like it's pretty heavy for the head. As you can see from the figures that follow, the Pope's tiara is a triple jeweled studded crown. Okay, I thought worn usually at coronation or other very special occasions, while the mitre, the more commonly worn headpiece, is a pointed hat and a red cloth that looks like the open mouth of a fish. Oh, okay. All right. Is Vicarious Filii really a title of the Pope? As we saw in 1917, the Catholic Church sought to distance itself from the earlier admission made in 1915 that the title Vicarious Filii was a title of the Pope, but that denial said nothing about the mitre. Now, even if we were to grant for a moment the truth of the Catholic Church's denial, namely that the Pope's tiara and even his mitre does not contain the title Vicarious Filii, we still have to overcome another difficulty. which is that this Latin title has been used in the official literature of the Catholic Church and that its English translation or transliteration can be found in a book written by Pope John Paul II. That the popes have used the title Vicarius Filii Dei officially for hundreds of years, we will now amply demonstrate. We find Vicarius Filii Dei in numerous quotations, and in particular from the false decretals in the so-called donation of Constantine, that gigantic forgery which forms so large a part of the basis of the Roman primacy. We also find it used by Lucius Ferrus in his work Prompta Biblios Theca, 1958, Paris edition, volume 5, column 1828, under Papa Pope, article 2, and on page 43 of the latter 1890 edition, volume 6 of that same work, we read, as the blessed Peter is seen to have been constituted vicar of the Son of God, i.e., Vicarius Filii Dei, on earth, so too the pontiff should obtain from us in our empire the power of a supremacy greater than our earthly serenity. Prompta Bibliotheca is well honored, being highly commended in the 1913 Catholic Encyclopedia as veritable encyclopedia of religious knowledge, will ever remain a precious mine of information. Vicarius Filii Dei is also used in the Corpus Juris Canonici and other official Catholic documents of the 1800s. Cardinal Manning also confirms the use of Vicarius Filii Dei in his book, The Temporal Power of the Vicar of Jesus Christ, where it tells us that the popes have long used the title Vicar of the Son of God, from the Latin Vicarius Filii Dei. Even today, the CIA's website, U.S. Government Central Intelligence Agency, has a section on the Vatican which confirms this. The Pope is the Catholic Bishop and Patriarch of Rome and the head of the Catholic Church. The office of the Pope is called the papacy. His ecclesiastical jurisdiction is called the Holy See, Sancta Sedes. Early bishops of Rome were designated vicar, representative of Peter. For later popes, the more authoritative vicar of Christ was substituted. This designation was first used by the Roman Synod of AD 495 to refer to the Pope Gilius I, an originator of papal supremacy. An early compilation of Roman Catholic canon law, the Dectrum of Gratian, originally published in 1148, confirms that this Latin title was indeed used by the popes. It states, Votus Petrus in terris Vicaris Filii Dei Ventur esse consistis. Blessed Peter is seen to have been constituted vicar of the Son of God on earth. Thus, it is beyond dispute that Vicarius Filii Dei has a long history of usage in the Catholic Church to justify the claim that the Pope is the successor to St. Peter. Only a stubborn person will refuse to concede this fact. Most recently, in 1941, Professor Johannes Quasten, 1900 to 1987, at the time the world's leading authority on Catholic Church history, and author of the 4-volume reference set on patrology, wrote, the title Vicarius Christi, as well as the title Vicarius Filii Dei, is very common as the title of the Pope. That statement he wrote by hand on the official letterhead of the Catholic University of America, Washington, D.C. The original was notarized by a lawyer, a copy of which appears in the appendix in this book, page 527. Johannes Quasentin was no ignoramus. Ignoramus. Oh, well, that kind of dumbfounded me. He was the leading Catholic patrologist and the author of 4 volumes on patrologia. Dr. Quasentin, a Jesuit, was also the keeper of records for the papacy in the United States. Antichrist, Vices. It is a noteworthy fact. The first part of the Pope's Latin title, vicarious, is an adjective meaning that which supplies the place of. When used as a noun, vicar, it means substitute for. Or as John Paul II stated on page 3 of his book, takes the place of. Its Latin root is vices, meaning alternate or alternative. In the Greek, the equivalent word for vicarious is anti. Not against, but to replace. For as equivalent word for vicarious is anti, not against, to replace. I said that again. For as John Paul II claimed, the Pope does not merely represent the Son of God, but takes the place of the second person of the Godhead. The Catholic Church has also declared and decreed, sounds like Paula White there, the Pope is not only the representative of Jesus Christ, but he is Jesus Christ himself, hidden under a veil of flesh. Compare this claim with Isaiah 48, where it is said of God, my glory I will not give to another. Isaiah chapter 48, verse 11. It is clear then that the Pope's arrogation to be Jesus Christ himself in the flesh is a direct challenge to the authority of Christ. In adopting the ill-omened and erroneous title, Vicarius Filii Dei, the Pope sets himself up in the place of Christ. Or as John Paul II puts it, the Pope takes the place of Christ. Here's the spelling and numeration of Antichrist in the Greek language. And that, lo and behold, equals 666. Reader, I do not want to be unduly harsh, but I cannot be silent. The Pope's kingdom is the very kingdom of Antichrist. 666, fly from it. And it's not just the Pope's Latin title, Latinus Sacerdos, Latinus Rex Deceptor, Vicarius Filii Dei, etc., but even the very headdress and staff used by the Pope are taken from sacred bureau drawers of the high priest of Barbelon. In the cave of Elephantine in Egypt, there is a figure of a priest destroying a crowd of infants, carrying a crux anasta, the foremost phallic symbol of Egyptian Freemasonry, a mitre, and a crozier or abacus, like the Pope's staff. The same mystic staff was carried by the Grand Master of the Knights of Templar Order, a symbol of Freemasonry and one of the foulest symbols of paganism, which is today carried by the Pope. Other interesting icons are the Buddhist sculptures and paintings found in Afghanistan. This example is worthy of special mention because of the additional light it casts on the pagan origins of the Pope's tiara and his mitre. One of the sculptures, the central Buddha fire in the cave of sculptures, wears a maroon robe like the cardinals. Hello, Stephen. Like the cardinals of Rome, and has on his head a three-pointed cap. The figure also wears a heavily crenellated crown and is seen seated with his right hand raised in Vaitarka Mudra. I don't even know what that means. Vitarka, and then Mudra with a line above the A. And the left hand lying in his lap, exactly like the images and pictures of the Pope we see in Vatican paintings and sculptures. Another fact worthy of mention is that on the boundary stones of Babylonia, the royal monoliths of Assyria, the emblems of the gods are nearly always shown, most prominent of which are three horned tiaras, emblematic of Merodach, Anu, and Bel, the three gods of Barbelon. There is also a column ending in a ram's head, a crescent for Sin or Nanar, the moon god, and a disc with sun rays representing Shamas, the sun god. The popes also wear the triple tiara. Reader, do you not wonder why there are so many pagan incrustations in the Pope's attire, titles, and symbols? To quote Helena Blavatsky again, to think for 1 minute that any of the popes, cardinals, or other high dignitaries were not aware from the first to the last of the external meanings of their symbols is to do injustice to their great learning and their let's see, Machiavellism. It's Machiavellism. And it may also seem curious to you that the Assyrians, Barbelon, believed in and worshiped their patron god as a deity symbolizing the host of heaven, who they call the Queen of Heaven. The very appellation the Church of Rome gives to the Virgin Mary. The veiled worship of Isis, the consort of Saturn, who is just another pedigree of the devil or Satan. Reader, we shall shortly see that the Holy Roman Catholic Church is far more mysterious and occult organization than most people realize, and that neither the Pope nor the Jesuit general are really the head honchos at the Vatican. Who then is in charge? This is the mystery we must solve. For as Freemason and Jesuit pawn Bill Clinton once said, the worst thing you can do in life is to underestimate your adversary. Wow. Wow. All right. Now what, Stephen Tracy? Oh, you want to help me understand this stuff? I think it's just you. I don't see a number. There's only 2 right now. Sorry to interrupt. What you are talking about sounds interesting, and I am aware of it. I can tell you what it means. Mudra is a type of pose or symbol that is usually shown by the hand, like the pyramid symbol or the hand over one eye symbol. Oh, I did not know. Also, the type of mudra that you are talking about is a mudra in which power is evoked by using it when speaking to others or in the presence of others. It is also seen as a signal. The word mudra comes out of Hindu tradition. If you look at the statues of Buddha, are shown with the hands in yoga postures. If you look at paintings or renditions of Hindu gods and deities, they use mudras. Statue or images with mudras, they are hand symbols that are part of yoga posture. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Did not know any of that. So that really helped me to understand. Yeah, Madame Blavatsky, she was a character, wasn't she? Her and Alice Bailey and all them crazy people. Well, Stephen Tracy, I appreciate your input greatly. I truly do. I really appreciate it. I'm going to close this session down, pick it up in here in just a few minutes, and continue to read. I think I'm going to finish this book this evening. So keep your eyes on Jesus. It is known as, it has to do with, I don't know what that is, though, so I'm going to have to look that up. Machiavelli? Is that a person? Or what? Machinery? I don't know what that is. So I'm going to have to look that up. I have no idea. So let us embed the word of God upon the tablets of our hearts so we will not sin against God or be deceived. I'm going to look that word up just so I can know. Thank you. I'm going to do that. I am going to do that. I appreciate you. I truly appreciate you. I don't get much talk on these things, which is probably best, but this is very informative. I will be back in here in just a few minutes. God bless you. Bye-bye. I'm going to look that up right now.